What last-minute life skills do new college students need to have before they leave home? One of the topics we're talking about here on a Thursday night.
How much time do we have?
Yes, yes.
Angela, of course, is saying this because she's got a couple of college students
got
getting ready
time.
to head off.
We got an hour till the 11th. Everyone take notes.
So we're talking about that tonight. We've got the new Carl Erskine documentary that premiered here in Indianapolis tonight. We're going to talk about the legendary baseball player from Anderson University. Also this viral TikTok video that Purdue is now responding to tonight about dorm conditions.
Oh my goodness, once you see these videos, we're going to talk about it because, I mean, it's like nobody wants their kids living in conditions like that. However, the story's a little bit more complicated than what you would think.
So we're going to give you a look at that and talk about one of the stories that we're going to bring you tonight at 11. But we do want to start because it is, what is it, Friday?
It's Friday, Junior, and it deserves a dance. It deserves a dance.
I like the dance.
Thursday night is Friday Junior around here at 10 o'clock. How are we looking tomorrow?
How's my work-approved dance?
I like it. I like it. Friday looks great.
Beautiful.
Sunshine, mid-80s, very similar to the last couple of days. But if you were downtown Indianapolis, just before 6, like between 5:45 and 6, we had a pop-up shower.
Yeah.
Like one showed up on radar.
And Victory Field had to do something,
And
didn't
Victory
they?
Field had to cover the field with the tarp. It didn't last long, but it kind of shows the pattern is changing a little bit. So I can't rule out a pop-up tomorrow afternoon, early evening, but it would be like today, 1 or 2 showing up on radar, and that's it. Friday forecast is a warm one. We'll be in the 60s, relatively comfortable at 8 a.m., 78 at noon. Clouds build much like today. And again, a pop-up shower can't be ruled out. Future Track 13 doesn't show much. The best rain chance as we look ahead comes into play later Saturday into Sunday. You can see with Future Track 13, the pattern does change as we head into the weekend. Not completely dry, but also not a washout. Just stay weather aware, especially for outdoor plans from Saturday afternoon all the way through Sunday. Rain may briefly interrupt those outdoor plans.
Okay, last weekend at the Indiana State Fair, so a lot of people planning those visits. Got a lot of folks joining us on social media tonight. Liz wanting to know, Felicia, do you have a separate department for work dance approval?
You'd be surprised.
A lot of folks excited about the Hagerstown Little League team. We're going to talk about that tonight at 11. They won their game today.
Representing Indiana.
That's right. Teresa says you are all ready for football, it appears like.
I am, actually. Actually, I like more so the camaraderie and the social aspect that football brings.
Sure, and the food.
Yes, and that's what I really meant.
And the Operation Football highlights that we'll have tomorrow night for you. Jeremy from Mooresville, Teresa is joining us, Michelle joining us, saying great just in time for our football game in Plainfield.
Yeah.
Nice.
And let's see, Ralph watching tonight, Teresa, Joyce from Versailles. Great to have all of you around. All right, we'll get back to Angela in a moment, talk a little bit more about the Friday and Saturday and Sunday forecast. First of all, Felicia, we do want to talk about what's happened at Purdue in this viral TikTok video.
Yeah, I mean, the video's going around and it's showing apartments. I'm not sure if we have it, if it made it in for tonight, but it's showing, you know, apartments that are just not up clean. They're not up to par. It looks like they really haven't been touched, frankly, in quite a while. So, you know, this is going viral. A lot of people sharing this, and we are going to have more coming up at 11. That's explaining what's happening here. You know, we have overcrowding issues. We have issues with there being enough people to clean, because I think they contract that out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I know we want to demand the best, especially when it comes to our kids, but we're seeing pandemic-related issues. At least that's what people are reporting. There aren't enough people in these jobs to get it done. So there's a little bit more to the story. That is going to be at 11.
And in my interview with Mitch Daniels last week, he said, look, that we've got record enrollment, 50,000 students, 35,000 in the undergrad, and then some graduate students. So they are looking at, in terms of enrollment, the largest they've ever had on the West Lafayette campus.
We got to make room for that.
Right.
So hold on, folks.
Yeah, we're going to.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, of course. Angela's back.
Oh, yes.
So sorry.
Yeah.
I have a Purdue student who was an RA, and even last year, and I believe that was a dorm.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but go ahead.
So he was an RA, and they were so overcrowded, they turned what was the floor lounge into a six-plus person dorm.
So 6 kids go in where a lounge used to be.
Yes, so
Wow.
if you remember back in the day,
Yeah.
there were lounges.
A common area.
Yeah,
that
where
you
there
can
were
hang out in.
couches and you could hang out on the floor. They turned that into a 6, 7, 8 person dorm. So you're throwing several bunk beds in there for 6, 7, 8 people in what used to be a lounge. Now, I don't know if that's the case with this exact TikTok video, but my son did run into that as an RA last year.
I think that's happening again this year with them trying to have a place for everyone to go. And so, you know, we have to back up. Remember the goal here, you know, and kids today, not everyone, some kids are so privileged, you know, to even have their own room growing up and their own bathroom. And so, okay, you're here to get an education. These aren't the most ideal conditions, but as long as we can get a clean floor and a bed, we'll survive.
But it was entertaining to hear the stories, because you realize that when you're coming in and let's say the 3 of us room together, we don't know each other and we all have our different quirks. And then you have 5, 6, 7, 8 people with their own quirks.
Yeah, it is another layer of stress. You're right. You're right.
Where and you may sleep at, I may go to bed at 9 or 10. You may go to bed at 1 or 2. You may
I'm up all night.
You may have guests over, partying all night. You know, so it's
that party animal, Scott.
So it's different if you're, you know, just trying to navigate through 1 or 2 roommates, let alone a handful.
And just the life change in general is a lot.
Yeah, and Luke ran into another issue. His apartment for this year, building sold, torn down. So June 1, we're scrambling to find a place to live. And he ends up 5, 6, 7 miles from campus.
But the investor in me thinks there's an opportunity here.
Well, I did call on a property.
I had to do some research.
And I was looking and I thought, what if I buy this and turn it into a rental property, let Luke rent it, he pays me, but it was a little more. That was out of my range.
It was a little bit more than you had
It was more than
bargained
I
for.
wanted to spend.
A little bit more planning to go into it, but I mean that's actually a really good point. Okay, go ahead. My mind's just brewing
I'm
here.
done now.
My mind's brewing over here. So again, more at 11. We got the deets.
Right. So tonight was a big night over at Newfields. It was the premiere here in Indianapolis of a movie about an Indiana legend. Carl Erskine is a name that maybe if you're a younger person, oh, maybe I've heard of that name. Who is Carl Erskine? Those of us who are a little older know who Carl Erskine is. Grew up in Anderson, Indiana, drafted by the Dodgers, ended up going into the major leagues back in the 40s and 50s, played with Jackie Robinson for 9 years. He was a terrific pitcher. I mean, he's a guy that struck out Mickey Mantle, Yankee slugger, 4 times in 1 game. He no-hit Willie Mays and the Giants. He threw 2 no-hitters.
Wow.
He was a World Series champion back in 1955. So that's his baseball life, which is on its own amazing. Here's a guy who helped start Fellowship of Christian Athletes across the country. And that's part of here in Indiana. He was very public about his faith. And then the third part of his story, he and his wife, Betty, who've been married now 70 years in Anderson, Indiana, they had a child with special needs. Now, back in the day, there was a time where these kids with intellectual disabilities were institutionalized, and they weren't brought out of their houses. And yet, Carl Erskine and his wife, Betty, decided, no, we are not going to do that. We love this child. His name is Jimmy, and we are going to make him part of our family. And they were instrumental in creating the Indiana Special Olympics. And he has had maybe the single biggest impact of everything that he did on the Special Olympics movement here in the Hoosier State. So tonight at Newfields, they played this hour-and-a-half-long documentary that every Hoosier would be inspired to see. And I wanted to share with you a clip tonight about his impact, Carl Erskine's impact on Special Olympics. Here it is.
Carl Erskine's call came in 1970, and he and Jimmy were on their way. Starting with that year's Indiana State Games, a decidedly off-Broadway affair in Terre Haute that featured Eunice herself, the Erskines launched into Special Olympics, like Jackie Robinson barreling toward the plate. The early years were chaotic, sponsors and media skeptical, yet thousands of Hoosier kids who once would have been locked up or hidden at home found joy, friends, and themselves. For his efforts, Carl was awarded the program's highest honor, the Spirit of the Special Olympics.
Carl has talked with more people about Special Olympics and changed their heart about our cause than any person in our history.
They changed their neighborhood first. than their community. And then as you've seen, Carl and Betty weren't done there.
Early on, Eunice invited Carl to speak at a fundraiser at the Kennedy Center. What he did there earned him flights on Eunice's private plane all around the country to reenact it. Holding up his 1955 World Series ring, he talked about how much it meant to him and his Dodger teammates. Then he reached into his pocket and took out one of Jimmy's Special Olympics gold medals and asked the audience which was the greater achievement. It became the Erskine calling card.
You could see one of our athletes running down the track, and you could say, oh, isn't that nice? In a pity kind of way. But Carl came in and he gave it legitimacy, saying that this medal is more important than my World Series ring. And when somebody can say that, that athlete running down the track is not pity. That's human spirit achieving its full potential. That's what Carl did for us.
In 1987 in South Bend.
I like the way he put that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I get
That sums it
chills
up.
watching this. You would be so proud to be a Hoosier by going to see this documentary. Again, it's called The Best We've Got, the Carl Erskine story. The way they came up with The Best We've Got, former Governor Mitch Daniels, when he gave Carl the Sachem Award, which is the highest honor that a Hoosier civilian could get, he said, this is the best we've got, meaning to Carl Erskine. So it's a lovely documentary, and I encourage you to see it when it's available. So anyway, our thanks to Ted Green, the masterful filmmaker who put together the Eva Core, the Bobby Slick Leonard, the Crispus Attucks documentary, all these wonderful documentaries that you're probably familiar with, doing this one on Carl Erskine tonight.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
All right, we're going to end tonight with a little talker that you came up with this.
Yes.
So what are the last minute life skills that a college kid needs, right?
Yes, yes. Let's go through the three that they had in this article. It's an article out of Business Insider, but you get the gist of it. What are the life skills that people need to know before they go out?
Okay,
and it's
let's have 'em.
actually a former teacher, a college teacher, and she said, teach your child to communicate clearly and honestly.
Yep.
You know, when they go to school, they got to be able to advocate for themselves, talk to their teachers, be professional. She also said, teach your child to take charge of their health. Everyone talks
that's
about the
good.
freshman 15
Yep.
and, you know, mental health, all the health, and then teach them how to manage money.
Yes.
Those are three good ones.
Those are, that
Right?
pretty much sums it up.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke is living on his own, so it's, you know, important that you pay your bills on time.
Right.
That you have enough money in your account. If you have to switch from one account to another, to make sure there's enough that if it's an automatic withdrawal, there's enough in there to pay it.
Right.
Yeah. You sent some successful folks to college.
I sent 2 to IU and 1 to Purdue. I'd say time management is something that all college kids need to deal with. Look, you're free for the first time. You're out of your parents' house for the first
Oh,
time.
yes, I was.
And so, look, and there are kids that go, you know, they go crazy at college, you know, and they party all the time. They don't go to school. You've got to learn how to have fun and get good grades and study hard, because that's the whole point of college,
That's
right?
the reason you're going.
Time management. But I love that, those three
Remembering
other ones.
why you're still there, and being able to reset. The reset, because you're gonna go too far.
Sure.
That's just
That
what
just
college is
happens.
about.
Yes.
You know, you gotta go past the boundaries that have been set for you, but how do you reset? So one that I would give, I sent myself to college. My mom sent me. But I would say how to ask for help.
Oh,
good one,
that's
too.
so
How to
important.
ask for help, because you have a lot of pressure. You feel like you're an adult, and you know you worked hard to get here. You have expectations on yourself, but even adults need a parent. So it doesn't matter if you're 50, 60, 70 years old, you need a parent figure, someone to help you reset your life, set a standard, and how to ask for help, because regardless of what you get into, you should never be afraid to call home.
No, and ask for help from the professors. Don't be afraid. You know, advocating for yourself is very, very important. And the tuition you are paying pays in part their salaries.
Right.
So, you know, they're working with you and for you in a sense.
That's
So,
one thing that college teacher said. She said, don't wait. A lot of students wait to the last minute.
Oh, please don't do that.
The end of the semester, and then they're begging their teachers to, you know, give them or help them do whatever. And they're like, this is college. You've had 4 or 5 months in this semester to get it together.
And it goes fast. Like all of a sudden you will realize it's midterm, and Luke's not watching, so he won't care that I say this out loud. But he ran into a couple times where you see on the syllabus, oh, okay, I can drop a test. And so you don't study as hard for that first one, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
There's
Now-
no skipping.
So then you're
work.
dropping that first one, and you are then
Your
you know,
average is messed up.
Well, and then you're on the hook to do well the next 2 or 3 tests.
Right.
And in college, you don't get a lot of tests and a lot of assignments. It's not like grade school and middle school and high school. So your grade may be dependent on a couple of tests. So if that syllabus says you can drop a test, ignore that part.
Yeah.
Study hard for all of them.
That's
Seriously.
right. All right, Teresa says manners and money management, communication and honesty,
I like
life
that.
skills. Ronald says laundry. That's a good
Hey,
point.
cleaning. I like that. There were some people. Oh, this girl. We stayed in a suite, and this girl in this suite. It was like 5, 6 girls living together.
Yeah.
Her bathroom skills were horrible,
Yeah.
and it was 2 bathrooms. So it was the rest of us used the other. I'm off screen.
Come back
we can't let that happen.
Come back in.
I'm off screen. The rest of us used one bathroom. She had her own bathroom
'Cause it was
because
so
she was
bad.
that gross.
Oh.
And she said her father cleaned for her at home. She did not know how to clean or manage that.
That's good,
That's a
too.
So
life skill you need to
that was
know.
a problem.
All right, tomorrow's weather going to be good?
Yeah, morning sunshine, afternoon clouds, mid-80s, light today. As those clouds build in the afternoon tomorrow, can't rule out a pop-up, and then we'll be dodging a few showers and storms this weekend.
We've had a lot of fun with you tonight, and it's Friday Junior, so we're going to have a lot of fun with you tonight at 11 when we see you over on 13. Good night.